I wanted to go over the different causes of smelly feet here today and how to actually get rid of the cause at the root cause underlying issue. So let's go over it today. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're here with a brand new Cabral concept, kind of a lighter show today, especially after yesterday's dangers of vaping. I obviously can't have two super intense shows back to back, but in all seriousness, what I want to be able to share with you is always all different forms of natural health, natural medicine, and I get so many questions about overactive sweat glands, sweating the armpits, smelly feet, etc. I wanted to go over the different causes of smelly feet here today and how to actually get rid of the cause at the root cause underlying issue. So let's go over it today. Very simple, very straightforward. The reason why people have smelly feet in the first place is actually from the bacteria that is created that can come from sweat. So it's fairly straightforward. So when your body sweats, now we'll talk about what comes out in that sweat in just a moment, but when your body sweats, it can then be exposed to the outside air. And when the sweat hits the outside air, bacteria can begin to continue to build. I'll use the word sometimes ferment, but ferment isn't the best word for bacteria. It's more like yeast and fungus, which we'll talk about as well on the show here today. And that can cause an odor. All right. So the more that you sweat, the more bacteria can build, the more the air can actually get exposed to that, and the more it smells. So what are some other reasons? Well, we talked about the sweating in general. A lot of people call it, well, it's overactive sweat glands. I'm a big believer that the body doesn't really mess up. I just don't, the body can be imbalanced, there's no doubt about that. But if you're sweating, it may be because your body's tried to expel something. So keep in mind that the body absorbs toxins from the environment through our food, and also it creates our own endogenous byproducts of hormone production and digestion, etc., that it needs to move out of the body. And since the skin, as is like to be thrown around as the largest excretory organ of the body, that just means it's the best largest surface area able to expel toxins besides the liver and kidneys and the lungs. It's able to do that. Okay, so there are many reasons why you can have excessive sweating. Sometimes it is toxins inside of the body. Sometimes it's increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, sympathetic nervous system tone, and many more. But those are some reasons why. So I'd be careful when a doctor tells you you have overactive sweat glands. If a doctor tells you anything, you should always ask, why, right? Why do I have overactive sweat glands? All right. Part of it is maybe a genetic component. Some people sweat more than others. Sure. I don't disagree with that, but also why? That's what I would ask. Others already have bacteria on their skin that's imbalanced. So back in the day, when I had all my health issues from 17 years old to 27 years old, I kept getting folliculitis over and over and over. And the doctor was like, are you going in a hot tub? And I said, no, I haven't been in a hot tub in like years, and I've maybe been in a hot tub like 3 times in my life. It's like I have no ability to go in a hot tub. Well, who has a hot tub? I didn't know anybody with a hot tub. And so they couldn't figure it out. Well, I had an imbalanced skin biome or microbiome. The flora on the skin was imbalanced. So I had a larger amount of essentially bad bacteria to good bacteria on the skin. All right, the next one is this: fungal overgrowth or yeast overgrowth on the feet or skin in general. All of that can lead to the athlete's foot people talk about, the ringworm, etc. And that could lead to smelly feet as well. Hormonal changes is a real thing, and hormones can change the scent of anywhere that you sweat. Armpits, feet, etc. All right? Stress has been somewhat correlated with greater smelly feet, but it's almost likely due to an increase meaning like in cortisol, and an imbalance in hormones. So it would throw off your hormone levels. The last one I'll say is poor hygiene. But I hope as I go through now the fixes for this, that if you're not washing your feet, right, at least once a day, that could be the main issue, right? You're just allowing the bacteria to continue to build up. And then one thing I do want to state is that it wouldn't be totally abnormal for you to, let's say, sweat. If you went for a run, like on the way to work, and you kept on the same sweaty socks all day, and your socks and your sneakers always had a little bit of sweat in them, over time, that bacteria is going to grow and to multiply. And again, any of those toxins and or yeast, fungus continue to grow on the feet, between the toes, which we'll talk about those toes later, and in the sneakers, they're going to smell after a while. And if you keep putting on the same smelly sneakers or shoes over and over, you're going to keep exposing your socks and feet to that same bacteria. So we need to make sure that we get to the root cause. If you have smelly shoes, we want to do something about that. One of the easiest ways, and I'll be talking about this with a foot soak in a second, to get rid of that smell in your shoes is just some baking soda. That's it. Baking powder, baking soda. Typically, we use baking soda. Now, you can use either, but you throw that into your shoes, you shake it around, it helps to dry them out, it helps to remove some of that odor, and you just let it sit there overnight. Then you can shake the shoes out outside, it's totally fine. And then what you're left with, though, is just like this thin coating in there. And if you're someone that sweats a lot, well, that will help a little bit with the absorption as well. So it's something to think about, all right? Something to think about there. All right, so now let's get into the fixes, because now that you know why the causes are of stinky feet, let's go over some of the natural-based remedies that we use. First and foremost, we need to make sure that you're washing those feet. Now, a lot of people say you need to use antibacterial soap. I disagree with that. I don't think that you should be using antibacterial soap on your body. So back in the day when I had that folliculitis, I got that recommendation. Use dial soap. Use antibacterial soap. It only made it worse. Why? It killed the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria. The same thing that the reason why I got so sick in the first place, one of the reasons, was I was on antibiotics for 3 years, from 14 years old to 17 years old, for acne. And now the essentially same conventional medicine system that destroyed my gut microbiome, causing yeast overgrowth, SIBO, and eventually H. pylori, now wanted to destroy the skin microbiome by using basically antibiotics on the skin. Makes no sense. Not a good idea. You still want to clean your feet, but not necessarily like that. So I'm going to talk about a foot soak next. But first, just clean your feet. Use a non-antibacterial soap. Coconut soaps, olive oil soaps, shea butter soaps, like whatever you like. Use that, scrub the feet, scrub between the toes, remove any of the bacteria that is there to start with, and then we're starting fresh. All right, the next one is this, a foot soak. So in the beginning, you won't need to do this ongoing, but in the beginning, you'll want to do a foot soak. So you shower every morning and your foot soak every evening before bed. Because you want to go to bed and allow all of this to, as I say, ferment, to just continue to grow and multiply. So what you want to do is a simple foot soak. You don't need a special foot soak bath. Yes, there are the ones that are ionizing, they bubble and all that. Can be great. You can definitely do one of those. I don't have a specific recommendation, but maybe in the future I'll look at one and I'll recommend one for sure on one of our Friday reviews where I do all of my product reviews. But think about it this way. You can just get a bucket or a tub. They have foot soak tubs, obviously, on Amazon. I'll link one up today. I'll just give you a simple one, probably just a simple plastic one. You won't use boiling water, so none of the plastics will start to come out. You can use whatever you'd like, of course. I'm going to link all of this up at stephencabral.com/2974 is today's show. But you just want a simple tub. You can get a CVS, a Rite Aid, any place, and you're just going to put in some warm water, not boiling hot water. You don't want to put your feet in boiling water, but you want some nice hot water in there, okay? You could also just use your bathtub. You could literally just, well, you put your whole body in, but probably not. You don't want to do it this way. You sit on the edge of the tub, just put your feet in. That works as well. So here's what I want you to put in that tub. First and foremost, I want you to put baking soda in that tub. I want that to bubble up in the tub, all right? That's the first one. It's quite alkaline. What does that mean? The alkaline substance, as in baking soda, is noxious. It will help kill any of the bacteria on the body as well. So it's super easy. It's super simple. Some people add a little bit of apple cider vinegar to that. You can. I typically don't always mix the vinegar with the baking soda. There's nothing wrong. You can do that. It's not necessarily what I do. I'm keeping the high alkaline environment. You could do an ACV foot soak as well, or you can do that afterwards, which I'm going to talk about right after this. Okay. So the next thing I do is put a couple drops of essential oils in there. One of them should be tea tree oil, okay? So that's in your foot soak as well. Tea tree oil. We'll talk about that again in just a moment. And then I will often put in Epsom salt. Epsom salt has magnesium, so great to absorb through the skin, good for calming the central nervous system if you are stressed, but also it contains sulfur. And sulfur is a great detoxifier, okay? So great to absorb some of that at least into the skin, into the body, but nevertheless, it will help with the bacteria on the feet. All right, step 1, shower, clean the feet in the morning. Step 2, foot soak at night. Step 3 is when you get out. So you might only do this at night. That's why I'm recommending it. Apple cider vinegar. So you're just going to put a little ACV on your hands or directly on your feet, and you're going to rub it in. Rub it around the toes, in between the toes. If it's too strong on your skin, dilute it. Just do 50-50 or maybe only 20% ACV on the skin. It just depends on the individual. And what that's going to do is further help kill any bacteria, fungus, molds, etc. on the skin itself. More like fungus and yeast on the skin, but it can be very helpful. Get all in between the toes, anywhere where you're typically building up sweat, etc. Okay. And then in addition to that, you're gonna let that ACV dry or you're gonna pat it dry. After that, now, although coconut oil is great here, it's a little too greasy. So it's gonna make your feet slippery. So what I want you to do is use some type of base oil. Could be argan oil, could be jojoba oil, could just be some olive oil, could be whatever you want. But I want you to use that with another couple drops, 2 to 3 drops of tea tree oil. You're gonna mix it together. You don't need a lot. You need like a tablespoon of olive oil, tablespoon of whatever it might be, or even less. You'll find out how much you need. Put 2 to 3 drops of tea tree oil in there. Massage it into your feet. First of all, it feels phenomenal. Second, the tea tree oil kills mold, fungus, yeast, and bacteria. So a great one to begin to help. All right, so now you can dry off the bottom of your feet so you don't slip, anything like that. Now, all of that, again, your foot soak, how long does it take? 10 minutes, 20 minutes maximum. That's all the foot soak needs to be. Apply the oil, all that takes 3 minutes, maybe tops. Okay, so you've got your nice little routine. While you're doing a foot soak, you can read, you can listen to a podcast, you can work on your breath work, any of the 3-2-1 sleep technique that I've talked about in the past to get a great night's sleep. You'll probably get an even better night's sleep once you've done this foot soak. So that's a big part of it. That's the night before. The next day is that we need to start with those fresh shoes, fresh socks, fresh shoes. We can't put our feet back into bacteria, all right? So you might need to get new shoes if the baking soda trick doesn't work because we can't compound old bacteria with nice, clean, new feet, we'll call it, all right? So really, really important. And then if you are someone that sweats a lot, what I would like you to do is to bring a change of socks. So if you're biking to work, if you're running to work, if you work out midday, don't wear the same socks. So after your workout, maybe you don't shower, maybe you don't have time. It happens. I used to do that when I owned a personal training fitness-based studio back in the day. I didn't have time to run home and shower. So I worked out. I wasn't necessarily like sweating a lot, but a little bit of sweat. Just change your socks. That's it. If you're someone whose feet smell, if you sweat a lot, I'm not on the big sweater category. That's not me. Of course, I sweat, doing a sauna, going for a jog, etc. Not necessarily during weight training, but if you are, it's okay. Just change the socks. No doubt about it. Change those socks. Put a little baking soda if you need to. I know a lot of people use baby powder. Can't recommend that. Too many metals, too many other things like that in that. The last one I'll say is this. If you're doing all of these things and it's still not getting you where you want to be, you want to look at internal health, namely gut health and toxins. So you are someone that I'd recommend. Again, I can't give you medical advice, medical cures, medical treatments, or medical diagnosis, but we're not talking about medical issues here. But I would do a 21-day functional medicine detox, the exact one that we use in our practice that I've helped many people with underarm sweating and feet sweating with. This is at stephencabral.com/detox. It's guaranteed to work for you. So again, no worries. It's guaranteed to work whatever your goals are, because what does it do? It helps to empty that rain barrel from a functional level, from an underlying root causal level. So check it out. Do a 7, 14, or 21 day, ideally a 21 day. And if before that you want to really go in depth, run the Big 5 or at least the starter kit. Running the starter kit, which is less than half the price, you'll see all of your vitamin levels, all your mineral levels. You'll see if you have heavy metals. You'll see if you have gut dysfunction and much more. So if you run that, then you'll know, oh, I actually have candida overgrowth. I have yeast and fungal-based overgrowth. I have some bacterial overgrowth. And yes, now I'm more susceptible on the external part of the body, not just the internal. So these are important things to look at. Hopefully this show was helpful. If you have additional tips, I'd love to hear them. Feel free to put them in the comments below. We read all the comments. We appreciate this community so much. And what I would like to say is this: as always, if this show is helpful, you know anybody dealing with this, just feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thank you. I'll talk with you soon. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.